NHL action, MLB action, PB, professional boxing. It's all about action sports. Y'all know it is First Formation as well as the NMBT action as well. Let's go.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, what's going on with everybody? You know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey. And you're tapped in the First Formation Morning Sports Talk as we get ready to talk about your favorite sports and events that happened over the weekend. This morning, of course, we got another special guest as we get ready to get into the granddaddy of them all, as they call it in military sports. Mr. Mike Richardson, the National Military Basketball Tournament Director. How you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mike, I know you are a huge new. I was about to say New Orleans, but Louisiana fan to the death. Even though you're in San Antonio, how you feel about your Saints this year?
Saints, man. I'm anxiously looking forward to see who they pick in this draft come Thursday night. But I'm feeling good right now. As long as we can keep the off the field troubles down to a minimum, I think the team that we put on the field will be should be legit. They should definitely win the South.
Oh, well, you know what? I won't even argue with that. But before we get into that, speaking of directions, we talking about South, South, Midwest, East. When I speak of those cardinal directions, Mike, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
In regards to the South,
The South, the Midwest, the East. What's in the West? What's the first things that come to your mind when I
oh
speak
man,
of those
most
cardinal
likely,
directions?
hey, this weekend the National Military Basketball Tournament.
Yes,
Those
sir.
those those regions, man. It's going to be a great tournament, man. It's people have been talking about it. Um, woo, it's going to be nice, man. It's going to be exciting. People are going to love it. Um, all the trash talking that's been going on between the you know, it's hilarious. It's can't wait. Really can't wait, man.
And I see rumors already in the comments talking about this rotation has saved Nationals. We understand when we get it. We get it. Never know what could have happened. Uh, he's coming to win it all. So, like you said, Mike, you're getting ready to get rolled. I know we spoke last week, and you was talking about all the things in which you had to basically take care of, which is obviously we can understand that. When do you start receiving everybody for the tournament, or just to tap in and make sure that everyone's getting there, the ones that come early?
Well, I've been hearing from a couple teams. The one that's really traveling early is probably Hawaii Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're coming in. I want to say probably Wednesday night. So they will be here like bright and early, like Wednesday night their time. So they'll be here like bright and early Thursday morning. The rest of the teams we look forward to be here Thursday morning, and everybody should be ready to go Friday morning, 8 o'clock. First game off out the shoot is probably I know it's Fort Hood and Fort Gordon at one fitness center, and then the other one is going to be Luke and Joint Reserve Base Fort Worth.
Okay.
So it
Speaking
starts
of,
with a bang right off the bat. I mean that probably that Fort Hood and Gordon game. They already got little words going between them, so it's going to be a good game.
Rail and Uriah. So, speaking of, it's funny that you say that. Speaking of Luke, Isn't it interesting how things turn? Funny how the tables turn. Yesterday during the Pac West military basketball conference tournament, Luke with an early exit in MCAS Miramar with a don't act like we're not here, like we're not playing, as they are the Pac West Military Basketball Conference champions this year. Didn't see it coming. Irwin, San Diego, they did play San Diego. So San Diego did make it to the championship, but Miramar with the upset, I mean, with the win, did you see that coming, Mr. Richardson?
I did not see that. Miramar is that one I did not see coming. I kind of expected Naval Base San Diego to be there.
Hmm.
They were probably one of the favorites, I would say, if they traveled well.
Uh-huh.
But that Miramar team came out of nowhere. But
And,
that goes to show you, again, that's why they call it March Madness, whatever you want to call it. Any given day, a team can be beat, and especially when you can't never count any of the Marine teams out because they gonna go hard until the clock hits zero.
what's good morning? What's going on? Sorry, Major Brian. Glad to have information with us this morning. It was crazy because just last week I spoke with the NBA. Of course, Jason LaFasciano, Commissioner Myers, Al, and Coach Ace, and it was that conversation came up in reference to what can happen. Of course, Luke was as everyone's favorite for the most part, I'm sure, except for maybe Miramar's. But it was all there. Everyone's favorite was the expected. Okay, Luke was Coach Paris was going to do what he usually does and get a win in the West. And now that of course hurts, not hurts, but that sets up their the way they're how their situation is set for them going forth with the seeding for their tournament. Now, of course, but like you just said, Mike, it comes down to anyone can be big any given day. You think one thing, another thing happens. It's just fortunate that the NMBT is uh, regular season championship, or we might see a different type of set of teams that would be playing for the most part.
Or or it could or the same thing happen. It could be lightning in a bottle, kind of like what happened to LSU's women's basketball team. Remember,
Yeah,
they lost in the semifinal round in the SEC tournament
and that's sure that is
and
definitely yeah.
got refocused and came through the tournament and won the national championship.
I see what you
You
just
know,
did there.
so
I see what you just
and
did there. How did you see that coming? See?
and knowing how Coach Paris prepares,
Hmm.
because I got to speak with him on was a Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah, I spoke with him at length, and he was still a little upset about it, and we talked for a while. But one thing I can tell you is they're gonna be prepared to play this weekend.
Oh yeah, he's probably like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
just use that everything. Use it as some material. I mean, use it as fuel to fuel the vehicle down.
Motivation.
Of course, motivation going forth. Uh, so back to the MMBT. Uh, what's this? How many will this make? What annual tournament is this? How many? What's the
This will be
year?
the 14th year.
14 years in the game. As of course,
14th year.
granddaddy of them all. Not tonight, Thursday, you're going to have a receiving party for the coaches, correct?
Oh, most definitely. It's what we have
Amazing.
is that fellowship point. We have an icebreaker. The icebreaker probably gets started about 6 p.m. The coaches meetings at 7 p.m. Which the coaches will come in. Um, they'll meet. We'll introduce ourselves and tell them a little bit about the tournament. We'll go through the bylaws and all that good stuff, and then we'll go right into it to the officials.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Ike Rivers, who's the head of the officials crew, he will be there with all the officials, and they will talk about points of emphasis, things that what to look for this weekend. Um, and then after that, hey, the bar is open. There's DJ going on. There's foods being served. It's a good little icebreaker mixer type feel. Um, it's kind of like the beginning of the family reunion, and then Hey, the ball goes up Friday morning at 0800.
So I heard you just said the officials, the point of emphasis. As a tournament director, do you find different things to point out to the officials, or even for them as a, director, as a official coordinator, different emphasis every year, or is it just the same thing for the most part, or do you go back and do a look and take a look at some things and of course your notes and everything and go back and there bring back points of emphasis for as far as it goes to the tournament?
Yes, just like every year in the NCAA, you have the after action report after the season.
Yes, sir.
So, every right now, the point of emphasis right now in the NBA, you're seeing these suspensions with these. So we have to address that, because one thing that we have to realize is what I spoke with the officials last night,
Hmm.
because we had a Zoom call with all of them that's coming
Yes.
down,
Okay.
and we discussed it at length. Things that you can expect that's a little bit different from military basketball from their normal NCAA games. It is a little more physical.
Hmm.
Guys in the military are familiar with each other. They know each other. They're friends. So there's going to be a certain amount of trash talk on the floor going on all the time because they know each other. It's like two brothers playing against each other.
Hmm.
Um, so we kind of touched on that. Of course, uniform. Um, it will be enforced. A lot of times we kind of get away from it, but this is the National Military Basketball Tournament is NCAA fully authorized game. So what
Hmm.
we're looking at is, because it's also um, directed right off. The modifications come from the Armed Forces Tournament, so it
Right.
mirrors that. So what we want to do is the same thing that we do in Armed Forces for the Armed Forces Tournament. We're going to do it in this National Military Basketball Tournament. So to kind of get them those players who are looking to play at the next level, whether it be armed forces, what have you, they get that experience. So it's going to be everything from the shot clock. Um, Shot clock will reset to 20. Um, you got the FIBA 3-point line, which is now the official 3-point line for NCAA Division One. All that's in play. All Division One officials representing 16 different conferences, from the ACC to the SEC to the Big 12 to Mountain West, you name it. We got a who's who crew of officials, veteran officials, and it's going to be a great time. But to answer your question, yes, every little thing that they will go through the whole gamut in
Hmm.
regards to the points of emphasis that they saw this year
Okay, so a couple more
in
questions that
regards
we
to
get
the
into.
gameplay.
A couple more questions that we get into some of this NBA. So some things in what you just said, right? Um, Division One, a gamut of coming and get in dealing with a fraternity of coaches that have been there. What are the higher level people as far as coaches as we speak of that's going to be in the building? Will we have all service coaches that's in there taking a look at some of these armed forces athletes, as well as some Division One, two, three,
NAIA. Yeah.
NJCA, yeah, all those type of any of those in the building for this tournament possibly?
Yes.
Okay.
Great question. Of course, all four branches, all service men's basketball coaches will be in the building. Um, the only one the only head coach that will not be there is, of course, Ron Bartley, who's in Korea right
Gotcha.
now.
Gotcha.
But he is sending members from his staff, or from the previous staff. They will be in the building. All Air Force is represented, all Navy, both the whole coaching staff for the all Navy team will be here.
Okay.
Both coaches from the all Marine team will be here. So yeah, everybody's in the building. And we had some I have another podcast that I'm doing tonight,
Okay.
um, which is featuring a lot of JUCO coaches, NAIA coaches, D1 and D2 coaches
Okay.
who have expressed interest and want to come down and actually take in action, because You believe it or not, a lot of coaches right now on the college level, collegiate level, they're looking for those military players.
Okay.
They're looking for that. They don't want the young kids no more, especially with the transfer portal. You know, they looking for maturity, character guys, and that's what they get in the military. You know, you get a young man or a young lady coming fresh out of high school, they grow up immediately. You know, as soon as they finish basic training, you know, they grow up immediately. They're paying bills. They're they are further along than the average 17, 18-year-old who's been living under mom's roof.
Correct.
So that's one of those things that are that collegiate coaches are looking for all the time. I get a lot of calls and emails from friends who are coaching at that level, and hey, you got anybody in the military, man, coming out that's getting ready to separate from the military that can hoop? You know, we looking. Send me some tape on them. And so we have a lot of that going on, and it's going to be packed and well represented this weekend as well.
So another thing going in that kind of leads into like some NBA talk. Charges. Do you think there's a problem with charges in the NBA currently?
I won't say it's me personally, I don't think it's a problem with charges.
Okay.
I think probably I probably got more issue with the way the officials are calling the game and calling charges.
Okay.
I think you know, they've kind of got, you know, everything's a charge now. You know, they're kind of getting away from the block. It's almost like the only time they're going to call a blocking foul is if you're probably in the restricted zone, in the restricted area. But outside of that, it's looking like outside the paint. Oh, you leading with your shoulder, or you going hard, they're gonna call a charge. But the biggest difference is that I can use an example of is like when we go to all armed forces, and we go overseas for the shape tournament. When you play FIBA rules, they don't like the charges. They're calling a lot. It's more blocks than anything. They're like calling block.
Okay.
Not necessarily will you get on charge because the game is more physical over there. But here in the States, yes, charges are being called quite a bit. You know, you can almost anticipate it. You know, when you see it happening on TV or anything, you just almost know as soon as there's a collision, that referee looking to get his shine on and throw it out there quick.
Punch him out.
Yeah, hey, you see, you can just see it. You can just see it. Sometimes they mannerism, like they be anticipating that.
In which, of course, now the challenge makes it different, where we've seen a couple of turned over here and there. Contentions last night when I look at it, of course, Aaron Gordon got initially got called for the charge in which they called Rudy Gobert for the they called Aaron Gordon for the charge, and they went back and looked at it. Come to find out, Rudy was moving his feet still. It was way outside the restricted area. Gobert got hit with the foul. So different things, of course, and we get Alonzo the blocking, flopping technicals.
He's speaking right because he was over there with us. We were talking about that was like the talk of the whole week while we was over there. Yeah. Hey, USA gets no love over there.
Is flopping really?
That's what they were calling it. I mean, they the way they call it overseas is kind of like, hey, gotta watch these Americans. They just flopping. That's all they doing. They flopping.
Every actors.
Yeah. So and that's how they show us no love over there, baby.
The officials are great. The way Reed says.
Yeah, he's sitting next door to me. He over there talking. He likes to stir the pot. That's what he does.
Of course, Wayne, it hasn't changed. I got it. Lakers in 5. I still with you, man. You know how we get down. 2023 champs, of course. Speaking of that, of course, New York is showing how they get down as the Knicks are handily taking care of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Of course, last night's game was no different. 23 points from Darius Garland. Of course, that wasn't enough. 2 rebounds, 10 assists on the night. 14 points for Karis LeVert. Also 14 points from Jared Allen. 11 points, Donovan Mitchell. 10 points from CD Osman, even Mobley with 12 points, but it wasn't enough as the Knicks took care of business. RJ Barrett in his bag completely. Jalen Brunson, 29 points. Who would have thought Jalen Brunson would be the talk of the town right now
Hey, the
after?
Villanova boys is tough. Brunson and Hart, they tough.
Oh yeah, those yeah, and even when you think about that, Dante Villacinzo from that's
Yeah,
in Golden State,
that's
like
at Golden State. Yeah,
the who would have thought? And I think they messed up the biggest when they put the Hart back with him. Bronson, Hart 19, and the
Barrett.
coaching decision from Coach Thibodeau to sit one of their top players that in Julius Randle because he wasn't doing what needed to be done to get the game done. What do you think about that call in his for the most part from Coach Tibbs?
Um, I always tell people, man, when it comes to coaching, coaching is a lot bigger than just managing X and O's. You got to man, you have to manage egos,
Mm.
personalities.
Uh-huh.
You got to make sure that your guys that's on that sideline with you, you got to make sure they're 100% engaged in the task at hand. So, hey, I applaud Coach Thibodeau to make, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Um, it could have backfired on him. Today he looks like a genius. Tomorrow he does it, and it might look like a clown. So so
And I was about to ask that question: could it potentially still backfire due to the fact we don't know how Julius Randle is going to how he's going to come
receive
out?
it.
Yeah, how he received it. You know what I'm saying? Sitting down. Yeah, just like you say how Coach Reed, Wayne stirs the pot. The media stirs the pot. The picture. It was they talked about it. Picture camera on Randall's while he was sitting there and just watching this team go. Like it still could potentially backfire. But I mean, I think they got a little leg room to get away with it. Up three
I
one.
think what's happening right now, probably as we speak, I'm pretty sure Randall's probably in the office with the coach right now.
Okay.
They're probably clearing all that up right now. Hey, it's game to game. We're gonna make game to game adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you either all in or you're out. And at the end of the day, if they win it, hey, it like I said, it looks like a genius.
Ron Trapp said Julius Randle is a black hole. I trade him while he still has value.
Well, that's a great point, but at the same time, thinking about how the Knicks got there, where they are right now, they don't get there without Randall. Randall played uh, really good this year. He carried those guys for a couple months.
Alonzo said he needs to man up, basically in state.
And get on board. I agree 100%. So I'm pretty sure Coach Tibbs it's probably got Randall in office right now. They
Having that
probably discussing
conversation.
it. Yep. Because winning cures everything. He might be in his feelings right now, but if they win this series and he's on board for the next round, who knows?
Mm-hmm. Moving on, keeping it moving. Boston and keeping pace, of course.
And
Atlanta
Atlanta.
Hawks. Shout out to Coach Acevedo, Coach and Rail, them having big center stage yesterday at the Atlanta Hawks game. Gordon,
Who won the game? I saw the clip.
you saw. That's a good question. I think you think
But
you still think
nobody
about it.
said who won. I don't know who won. Can somebody please come on here and say who won the game between Gordon and Benning before the
Yes,
Atlanta Hawks Boston Celtics game?
I think that's a good question. I would presume. I think Gordon. I think it was Gordon, but yeah, that's a good question. I mean, not Gordon. I don't think Gordon will. I think Benning got the dub. Well, hopefully, like you said, someone come on here and let us know. Of course, but that Atlanta game, we know who got the game, the dub when the main game, Boston Celtics. Trap said Benning won. Of course, Boston and Atlanta. Atlanta goes down yet another game, now down 3-1 after getting the dub for the most part. Do you see this? Is the series over? 31 points apiece from Tatum and Brown, 18 points from Derek White, 19 from Marcus Smart, 13 from Robert from Williams. Uh, for Atlanta, 27 points from Hunter, 23 points from Dejounte Murray, 35 from Trey Young. But is that enough? Is there enough for them to at least get another win and to kind of like inch their way to a game seven to force a?
It, it, it
Go
it's
ahead, go ahead.
tough. It's
Okay.
tough. I'm you know, one thing about the Falcons, the Hawks, they're all in birds over there in Atlanta.
Uh huh.
uh, the Hawks, I think their backs against the wall now. All they can do is play one game at a time. It's going to be tough to get the game in Boston, but it can be done. We know it can be done. But it's going to be tough because Boston's going to come out and they're going to be um, focused because on the other end, hey, um, what's the name? They don't want what's that other team get too much rest. Close
Alonzo
out.
says Alonzo says it's over. Of course, he says Murray suspended. Going to get suspended after, of course, the
Oh yeah,
up another
pumping
official.
official. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's over. I agree now. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's over.
The decisions that we make it seems like this particular uh season or this postseason is chock full of those mental situations. Of course, talking mental situations, another game, Sacramento and Golden State. Sacramento had them where they needed them. They let them get away. Of course, last night, Keegan Murray, 23 points, 38 points from De'Aaron Fox, the NBA's clutch player of the year, 14 points from Domantas Sabonis, 12 points from I'm not Donovan Mitchell, from, uh, let's see, oh, sorry, Davian Mitchell's not Donovan, I'm tripping. They had him, and they let him get away. Steph Curry, on the other hand, for the Golden State Warriors, 32 points, 26 points from Klay Thompson, 18 points from Andrew Wiggins, 22 from Jordan Poole, uh, the Draymond Green, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and he that's what he usually do. But like I said, the mental aspect of the game, Steph Curry, who would have thought Steph Curry called it a timeout that didn't exist, putting them in the dire of straits for potentially for them to get a game win. Barnes, Harrison Barnes with two, not one, but two uh, 3-pointers that he probably shouldn't have took. Golden State is back in there. Is this their series now?
Yes,
Mm,
definitively.
I can almost,
I think
almost yeah.
yeah. My thing was that that changed the whole series yesterday. That game because Sacramento had the game. They should have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
After Curry made his mistake with the no timeouts and calling timeout, the Kings were supposed to capitalize on that. They didn't. It's going to come back and bite them. I think. I think the Warriors come back. They still won. They still won next game, and then they come back and close it out at home. I
Yeah.
think it might be Golden State in 6.
And all they need is one. I mean, we already know Golden State has been atrocious on the road, but I mean, I think they're on a high now. They're gonna getting to Sacramento, just going up the coastline, getting to Sacramento, take care, get one, and get it back on their home court. In any case, um, what we don't want to see, which is the conversation that has been, is that Golden State is not going to be able to win because it's a away game. So of course they got the number 5, game 5 in Sacramento, game 6 back in Oakland or San Francisco, and then of course if there's a game 7 to be forced, it will be back in Sacramento, which I'm very sure Golden State doesn't want to get to that. I don't know if that again another mental aspect is it going to really be that much of a problem when you look at we got to go to their home and win two to get their series taken care of. But they did what they needed to do and 1-2 at home with a nail biter yesterday. Harrison Barnes steals. I almost said he disgusts me with his shot selection yesterday. Why is it that players settle for threes in those moments? What happened to the ones that go get it at this point?
Well, you got to think that the last shot he took, he had no choice.
Roger that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was the right basketball play. He just didn't hit the shot. He back rimmed it. But and a lot of people don't realize too. Harrison Barnes has a lot of history with Golden State. That's where he started.
Correct. Yeah, that's where he got his first championship.
So anything could go on. We don't know what's going on the floor. We don't know how much trash talking is going on between them. Being the familiarity is there, from the head coach being over there, from Mike being over there with Uncle Kerr. They all are. Hey, they're buddies. They're all friends.
Yeah, and you caught the sound about yesterday with Steve Kerr. It was like, hey, all our plays has changed. You don't know these.
Yeah, we changed the plays. Hey, Mike Brown, but I mean, those two have been together since they were under Pop here in San Antonio. So they're all running the same sets. They know it doesn't matter what you call it. They all running the same sets. Speaking
of Mike Brown, that's two NBA Coaches of the Years with two different organizations. Is Mike Brown under the radar as a top notch type coach?
I don't think he's under the radar. He's known. They know who he is. If he didn't know who he was, he wouldn't keep getting these jobs.
Correct. That part.
So yeah, they know who he is. I would probably say the one that's underrated that no one talks about anymore is Mark Jackson.
You know what? You the second person that brought that up. I think it was Commissioner Myers said the same thing. Mark Jackson should be on someone's sideline.
After all, he built that dynasty before it became the dynasty. He built it. Kerr just he just reaped the benefits. He walked right in but the team who got him there in the trenches was Mark Jackson, piece by piece.
Mark Jackson, he's probably due to get a job soon. Of course, there's plenty of them up. Toronto, Houston, that all are basically going to be looking for head coaches. Detroit, so that's at 3 right there alone as he go. Of course, last but not least, another game that should have been handled. I don't know what happened to Jokic and company last night. They had it in the midst after they had to come back, had to make a huge comeback. I think it was a 9-0 run late in the fourth, within the last 2 minutes, put them in position. Jokic going to the line to where he probably could have iced it. He misses the front of a 2 free throws, and then comes back, hit the second one, ties the game up. But ice in his veins. Anthony Edwards with the knockdown 3-pointer to basically put it out of reach for the most part. Minnesota stays off. Yes, he is. You that is point. You cannot. Anthony. They keep on comparing him to Dwayne Wade. Do you see that comparison, or is he? Do you think he's a little different?
I wouldn't use that comparison. I see him more. I like him more. His game to me is more like Butler, like Jimmy Butler's.
Jimmy Butler's.
I kind of see the similarities between their two games, because he's kind of like Butler, where he can just take over a game, and if he's feeling it, he go inside, outside, and he can punish you. So when I see him, I kind of see it's almost a mirror image of Jimmy Butler to me.
34 points
when Jimmy Butler's locked in.
34.6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks last night for Anthony Edwards. I've done a little bit by Jokic, 43 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. But, of course, what it counted the most, the W, in which he could not get it. And Edwards wanted it. He did a quick step back, caught Gordon moving to the left, slipped and got the separation. And when I see it go up, I was like, he's probably going to knock this down. And, of course, it happened. And he said it was personal. He said that stopping that sweep was personal for him. But of course, come back to reality. Do they get 3 more?
I don't know if they'll get 3 more. I say they may get 1.
Okay.
They may get 1 more. I don't see them winning this series. I don't think they come out. It's just a bad matchup for them. When the Nuggets are actually locked in,
Mm-hmm.
they're tough out. And I would say coming back to the Mile High City, they better be ready because Murray gonna put on the show.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm still thinking jokers, but of course Murray just the other night was going back and forth. So he's probably gonna go ahead and be like, it's time to close it out and take care of business there. So real quick before we get to go to these games that come out for the NBA, I seen a quote for I think a post from RJ last night. There's no talking as far as players in the NMBT, and your response was coaches are in the lab. They got they probably to put a cease and desist order on the players, like, hey, don't give nobody any material. Is this the norm? Is this the, like you said, number 14? Usually, would we be hearing all the talk in the bravado talk already, or is this a norm, or is it a changing of the guard now, where it's like coaches are a little more dialed in and they want their players to do the same?
I think this year, I've been profiling 2 teams a day on the
Okay.
page.
Yes.
Um, and and so what is happening is they're starting to see these rosters that are being revealed. What teams have picked up what
What free
2
agent?
free agents to add to their roster. So immediately Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday night when I did the profile on Lackland.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, when we had Coach Hollins on here, he said he was going to pick up a couple of free agents.
Yes.
He wouldn't mention no names, but I revealed the names when I did the profile.
Yeah. And when you put
And so,
a couple of pictures in which someone's like, "Dang,
yes,
what's going on?" So yeah, okay.
but what they didn't get out of the pictures that was posted. Now, each picture was Colton was in the pictures, but Colton is not a free agent. Colton is stationed at Lackland.
Correct.
So what they didn't understand was Colton is at Lackland. The 2 free agents that they brought on was Traps and Ray Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of that roster is JBSA Lackland. So or JBSA. So they was like, whoa. And then of course Timo was like, well, let the whole team of Charleston, and that whole thing got on. But in all actuality, when you talk about the Charleston team, the guys that was from Charleston were the civilians. All the military guys were pretty much they in Texas.
Yes. And it goes down to also is free agent, as you stated. You do what you can to get a free agent within whatever parameters, and Traps and Ray could have went anywhere.
Technically, if they wanted to play together, like they wanted to play together. They had basically 2 options. The 2 options was either they could play together at Lackland or at Fort Hood.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to do it at Fort Hood, Traps would have to go back to Fort Hood, where he is stationed there, and then he could have brought Colton and Ray Robinson as their 2 free agents.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out the other way.
And which now
Colton
brought
them 2.
It makes it probably more of a competitive edge now, given this. So,
and so it kind of the site kind of went bonkers. The page went bonkers after that, but they have been kind of ignoring all the other profiles. As you read the profiles, you're starting to see these teams is loaded.
Yes.
I would go out on a limb and say out of the 16 teams, probably 15 of them, I would probably say the only team that's probably not bringing a free agent or does not have free agents as of right now is probably Benny. They're probably the only one that's got their true roster, the roster that they had the whole season without adding any players. But everybody else, best believe they're loaded. This is gonna be. That's why ain't too much. I think it's more gamesmanship than anything that they kind of just trying to keep it close to the vest. But you'll know come Thursday when you see everybody jump off the plane and they hear like, "Oh, who you playing with? Who you playing with?" And for the 14th year, that's why I've been saying this year, this tournament, this weekend is far better than anyone that we've ever had. To probably go back to talent-wise, probably the initial one in 2009, which it was, it was still kind of wide open. It was kind of like everybody who's who just kind of picked up a team, and they had armed forces talent all over the place. This year, it's like evenly dispersed amongst, because rosters are solid, but then you add those two free agents that kind of fit in with your construct of your team, and it's going to be competitive. It's going to be competitive. The trash talk is probably not being done out there on social media, out in public for everybody to see, but they got chat groups all throughout this thing, and they're doing
people talking amongst each other. Of course, it's going with that. So that's the idea. Like I'm a huge competitor type guy, and saying to level the playing field is ideal. I appreciate strategy, which now coaches have to go forward with that. You only get 2 opportunities to pick up whatever is going to be best, as you just said, in the confines of your how you want to coach and how you want to play for this tournament. And you go forth and pick up what you think is best. It makes it a whole different type of story. So that if the players' host teams was playing in the NMBT, they were not eligible. So how does that work? From James.
I don't know how you heard that from, because if it ain't come from me, it ain't. I don't know who told you that. That's kind of gossip.
If I was told that if the players' host team was playing in the NMBT, they were not eligible.
Nah, that's not no rule. It's coming from me. I'm the tournament director.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm the tournament director. That ain't no rule. Because really, there's been. I mean, they call Lackland the host team, but they're not really the host team. The Nationals hosted here every year, but it's a couple years. Like when Lackland didn't have a team, we had the National. There was 3 years Lackland was a hiatus. They wasn't even in the tournament because it's not a Lackland. It's not a Lackland tournament.
Yeah,
it's not a Warhawks tournament. It just happened to be on this installation.
It's JBSA's a JBSA thing, but it's got it.
Yeah. So Lackland wasn't in the tournament like 3 years because they didn't have a team. And then there was one time they had a team, but they wasn't really that good, so they wasn't.
They didn't get invited.
They ain't gonna get no invite. Yeah, it goes to them too. They got to get an invite as well.
Probably said to be a free agent. Well, in case he gave it 4-1. It wasn't a rule. The player must be released. So to give clarity on what James is asking, Dwayne Reed comes in and say the player must be released. That is his question.
That kind of I don't understand that question at all, because it doesn't really. Bottom line is, some people talk about releasing players and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, what ends up happening if the player is an active duty member, this is an MWR ran tournament. You know what I mean? So let's say, for instance, I'll just give an example. You got a guy that's stationed somewhere, and all of a sudden, the team, for whatever reason, they have a personality conflict or something like that. So what does that mean for that player when you say be released? That's kind of like opening up Pandora's box in a certain extent, because what ended up happening is you can do that, but at the same time, let's say, for instance, the coach disagrees with that. Let's say I got a superb player, blah blah blah, but the player don't want to play for me. So do I blackball him? What do I do? Well, if you don't play with me, you can't play in the tournament. We can't do that, literally. We can't really do that as a tournament, because all we are is running a tournament.
Roger.
We can't control your roster. Let's say, for instance, Trey, you're the coach, and you got a top-notch guy, maybe one of the best guys in the military on your team, but you and him have a falling out, and now you don't want to let him play for somebody else.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Because he's stationed at Fort Hood. I mean, not Fort Hood.
Fort Pope.
You're at Fort Polk, right? At Fort Polk. Let's say you're the coach of Fort Polk, and you got a top-notch guy at Fort Polk. Y'all have a falling out, and the kid chooses to play somewhere else. What do you do? Do you tell the guy he can't play in the tournament, which is an MWR tournament, and the guy's an active duty member? How do we do that as a tournament? Oh, we're going to ban you because you can't play with such and such. And Uriah's right, but to the point where he says, as a tournament director, that's not my decision. That's between the coach and those players. That is correct. What runs between those coaches and the players, that is your roster. He is correct on that. But if the player does not want to play with that team, me as a tournament director running the MWR tournament, I cannot deny that guy the right to play in the tournament. Correct. Because he's an active duty member. MWR is for the active duty members.
So some things supersede other things, basically.
Yeah. So in other words, it's nothing we can do. We can't just come out and say, "Oh no, you're stationed at Fort Polk, and I know some guys at Fort Sam you want to play with." Well, you know what? At the end of the day, he can play with Fort Sam, or he can play with whoever he wants because he's a card carrying member. He's a cat. He holds a cat. He's active duty. That's what MWR is for: morale, welfare, and recreation. For our service members.
Service members.
It is. I can't come back and say, "Oh no, you have to play with old boy. You got to play. You got to play with Trey." I'm sorry.
Teams are based on. So obviously, of course, what we see here, or what I ascertain, as I might say, is that of course you have a situation to where there's going to be individuals that's going to even find discrepancies in the situation, or there's a misinterpretation of the rules or whatever case like that, in which you're trying to lay out the fact of you have to say clear some things, and you're saying that as a tournament director for JBSA, in JBSA or across at Lackland and for the Air Force, that you cannot tell a coach where his player can or can't play. However, you can put the restrictions on what you want in your tournament, and that, of course, Coach Uriah is basically saying that it should be left up to the player and the coach for the most part to determine if he does or can't play. But
for that team.
Okay, for that team. Got you.
But you can't come back, it all whatever happened, and the guy goes off. We're definitely not going to sit there and say, "Hey, no, you can't play."
Not from your standpoint.
Right. Yeah, right. Roger. Now, your roster, how you handle your roster is your roster.
Here we go with the ice play. Ice is hot, man. If y'all don't know, that ice life, goodness gracious, ice is sit up and have you sit up.
And we know, Trey, because we deal with it every day.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I won't say that because Ronald Traps, you released on social media when you made that post. We got the screenshot that was on my page. There it is. Boss man, he got it. There it is.
It's been. I got a good ice comment the other day, and then next you know, turn around. Well, I didn't get the bad one, but
Hey,
y'all are going off. Y'all are going off here. Here, see what is going on. NMBT actually
you started that,
cleared up.
Trey.
Goodness
You
gracious!
asked why there was no.
All
You
I,
asked why there was no trash talking.
and there you go. Of course it is. But
There's the trash talking. It's there.
so I guess I get it. Of course, everyone wants to have the best product going forth. But what is the reason? Like now we start to look at something else, and maybe because you was in some of the chats where you can see what causes, or without really seeing what causes the distinction between two coaches in which you play together, and we're talking about top players in military basketball and quote unquote top coaches in military basketball. We just went through like a month and a half of state of military basketball, and here we are like days before the tournament, and when there's a conversation to be had now in reference, or not to be had in talking about rules and rosters, and now go a little bit deeper with one player doesn't want to play with a coach for whatever reason. How do we even get here? I know the coach, saying the conversation about players that aren't supposed to be on a team. I seen a comment where one player felt like he was in I could say disrespected, but he felt a certain type of way because
I know
he's an all army player. Like he's played, what is the pinnacle for service members? He played on an all army team, but yet, I guess
I'm
one he doesn't
marketing
get.
the process. All I'm doing is, hey, I am just marketing the tournament. I'm a tournament director. I don't have no say in who wins.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you know, I mean, Lackland ain't never won this tournament. They've never won this tournament. They've been to the championship. The first year they win the championship, and they lost to Kiesler. But it's crazy because I laugh at it. I laugh at it. I honestly do. It's basketball, and there are certain things that go on with basketball, but some things that get really, really, really petty. And
And that's the question I was about to ask. Does any of this have legs for the most part? Is it a possibility for, again, creating a product in which I'll go through the same things now? Like now I have a supervisor in which we're going through the conversation of how things have been done here at Fort Polk, soon to be Fort Johnson, and how things have been done anywhere else. And so now it's trying to walking in which it is. So in that saying, is there another opportunity to go back to the board for you? Again, it's the NMBT is he's the tournament director. He has, angst to sit up and say, okay, with his committee, be like, okay, these things in which continues there's evolving change to be made, or is it something which is really nothing you can do about this? And it's just because a move point that's going to go from installation to installation as players and coaches do as well.
well, clearly, we didn't foresee this happening, but definitely after the tournament, we're gonna have the after action reports. We're definitely gonna have the discussion because we're gonna have some clarity to the rules. Um, you know, I can probably foresee that we're gonna definitely revisit the bylaws and discuss some things and how we want to roll it out for the years to come. But so I do, and I agree with Mike, but at the same time, and what Mike is saying, I agree. It is true. It is our tournament, but the end game for us is not a money thing. It's not about money for us. This is my job, and so I just want people to keep coming back. I don't want little incidents to happen to where teams say, "Oh, you know what?
What's the NMBT without the team?
That National Military Basketball Tournament is crap. So every year we try to make it better. We do look at it every year. What can we do better? If you recall, last year we had 20 teams. We brought 20 teams to the national, and it kind of got watered down at that point, where the top teams kind of had they played against a team in the first round that really wasn't up to their caliber. So, and then to cut the amount of games down to save money, because we do work with a budget. Right. So, when we had 20 teams, you're looking at probably 43 games, 44 games total. Now, let's do the math. You pay for officials, or I don't know if y'all got a contract with officials.
Yeah, it's a contract, but we pay a pretty penny.
Yeah, so you're thinking 44 games, you're paying officials $300 a game. That's about 10 grand right off the pop, just for officials. So when you look at things like that, because I've heard people talk about the entry fee. The entry fee, $575. Well, what does that go for? You got 3 guaranteed games. NCAA nonstop games. You know how much of NCAA officials get paid per game in NCAA? Probably about $750, somewhere between $750 and $800 a game. So, the officials that we have coming down, they happen to be prior military, so they understand this, and they try to give back too. Right. So they're lending their expertise to us to come officiate our games because they want to be a part of it. But these are things that we discussed that a lot of people behind the scenes don't know. All they know is like, hey, they're on the outside looking in. We're paying $500 something bucks. What are we getting for our money? Well, I can show you our prize package is second to none. So not only do you get what do you get for $575? Let's cover that. You get 3 guaranteed games. That's normally about $200 a game, right? So every participator, every member of the roster, they're gonna get a T-shirt, dry fit T-shirt, sublimated. The prize package. Now we have a trophy. We're giving rings. We gotta show you. You have a championship banner that hangs up from your fitness center.
The rafters, your rafters.
Yep. You got the ring.
Individual
championship hat. Championship hat. You get T-shirts. You get towels. Then we have the All-American Awards. We have individual awards.
Okay.
That prize package alone goes for about between $4,000 and $5,000 in merchandise. So no, we're not doing this to get rich. You know that. You know how much it costs to put on an event. For an MWR event. Most of the time we take losses on it. Yeah, but we're doing this to for the service members.
Roger that. So Coach Rye's comment was just that he said basically there's no checks and balances to the free agent rule. Some teams will have more than 2 free agents, and there's no process to prevent that. Make the process fair for everyone participating.
There is a checks and balances in there. Right. It is. It's in the bylaws. Everything's in the bylaws. It's there.
And Coach Commissioner Myers, another programmer, so to speak, NMBT and the NBA is a lot of work. At some point, if you are not involved behind the scenes, when you may not completely understand. We all have to get back to basketball. And you know what? That's a
as Bishop says, that part.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, that's a key point. Like it, but so in that saying, at some point, so So what I hear and what we come about is like everyone says, everyone knows that NMBT is Mike and saying Wings and them is their product. The NBA is Commissioner Myers and his crew, saying Jason LaFasciano, um, Al Haym, Leon,
Man,
and
and,
Acevedo, and they're
and Ace.
saying, yeah,
Yes.
they're the brainchild for the NBA. So in saying this type of stuff, when you say not people are not aware collectively, is there a position possibly? I think I know the NBA may try to do that at one point. It didn't work, and I think they talked about it going back. Is there a possibility for there to be other individuals at the table within reason, so that way people can no longer say, hey, you don't have this, or this is not what's going on, or work case like that? Or is that just again a move point to where it's like it's one of those situations you can't satisfy everybody and you just going to continue to move on, especially when it's uh your project in your program?
To answer your question, Trey, is um, this it's the latter.
Roger Carl.
Pretty
Okay.
much, we have a committee. We have a committee, which is made up of Coach Higginson, Coach Little, Coach Michael Bonner, Mr. Reed, and myself.
Mm-hmm.
We've always supported. We've always
Roger.
supported each other because, believe it or not, and a lot of people don't know this because it's
Behind the
like,
scenes again.
yeah, a lot of this they don't understand that. Um, Everyone from the NBA, the whole platform, all of them participated in the National Military Basketball Tournament. We all participated. We all was in the tournament. Way back before Jason LaFasciano became the commissioner of the CUSNBL, it was called something else. He was a
Mm-hmm.
part. He was a part of that. He was coaching at Fort Riley. He was in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
They everybody obviously everybody knows Coach Myers was at Fort Hood. Coach Mayon was at Bliss, and we had Ace when Ace was at Carson. So all those guys that's running the NBA, they all very much a part of the instrumental history of the National Military Basketball Tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Mons is the only coach to win it twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, for people to think there's animosity between us, no, there's no animosity. It never has been. There's been difference of opinion, but there's not animosity between us.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get that. I want to set that straight. Say that on the air, because people think there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. There's a lot of chitter chatter. There's a lot of innuendo and stuff like that. Uh, that's like with anything else. Like Mike said, get back to basketball. All this other stuff, this is crazy.
Mm. Coaches of players like going to look for MOIs to specific rules, gain advantages and accept the disadvantages, but if it has to be consistent, this is the issue with the Capital Classic and competitions to what is expected from the NMBT. Teams look at this event as their national championship, which is a reflection of the good product that you have created. From James Lewis, and it costs. And Leslie, it's a national military basketball tournament. The Military Basketball Association is separate, something separate, two different entities. Both in-state is where they link, or where they circles join, is all about military basketball and the armed forces athlete in basketball for the most part. Okay, so Lewis is, of course, saying it like, again, you're gonna always continue to have it. The ideal going forth, like you said, is that the ideal is that you look, after action reviews, and you continue to look at how how can we better our product, because without the
We
teams,
want people to come back.
yeah, instead we want returning customers, customer service one on
That
one.
is what drives me.
We have a problem. We call each other on the phone. We don't tear each other down, or we don't drum. Or me and Mike have differences of opinion. We all agree and both good for service members. If coaches had integrity, we wouldn't have to be questioned. don't trust the coaches would do right thing. You guys should have checks and balances in place, in which he said he does. Coach Hunter. Uh, so I mean, after action review, y'all, you give out forms, correct, at the coaches meeting for active action review.
Um, we will discuss it. We discuss basically what happens is I'm usually the recorder. I'm actually the one that's in there recording the minutes of the meeting or
Okay.
whatever. Because everything that comes up, I'm jotting it down. I'm writing it down on a pad and paper. What comes out of the meeting, um, which we'll probably have that meeting streamed on Facebook as well.
Mm-hmm.
And after the tournament is over, we come back and me and my boss sitting next door, we sit down and we go over the pros and cons. What did we like that was good about the tournament? What did we didn't like? You know, we go over all that and we discuss all that stuff. And then we make changes accordingly. Like I said, going from 20 teams to 16 teams, that ended up saving about $4,000, which you know the military we all about. Hey, we all about trying to save money in that budget.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there is a checks and balances in place. Um, if you look in the bylaws regarding rosters, that's the only thing that you can challenge is a
Right.
roster. But you just can't. You just gonna be out there making frivolous accounts that. Well, that I know that guy got 40. Well, no, if you know that, then you're gonna put $150 up. Put $150 up and stake your claim. Now, if you win it, if you win that challenge, you get your money back. If you lose that challenge, that money go right to MWR.
Everyone, and I think one of this, I think we've talked about this before. What you said, every coach had to submit a roster, correct, prior to
Yes, sir.
eye test. So, so obviously, like you said, Coach Uriah has the checks and balances in place. Your I ain't gonna say gripe. Your issue is saying that you don't believe it's. It sounds like you're saying you don't think it's an effective check and balance. That's why I sound like you're hearing what I'm saying because he says he knows the rosters and know who's out there and was able to put out some of them. So and then of course we look at the situation with Coach Wayne and where his team wasn't able, the team in which was constructed by him wasn't able to play. So presumably it sounds like they're doing something and putting something out there. But it sounds like Coach Uriah is stating that it's not an effective process, or there could be a better product in which like you said, minutes to be recorded at the meeting. I'm very sure you're going to be there defending NMBT
I,
champion.
we look at it. It is what it is. I mean, a lot of
Right.
people say my eye test or whatever. At the end of the day, guess what? I've been made a profit a lot this year. Yeah.
Coach Uriah, Dwayne is
Boss,
asking
you ain't gotta ask that question, boss. We know what the issue is. We know what the issue is. I'm not gonna put it out there on the air, but we know what the issue
exactly.
is. It is what it is. I mean, but
Mm. So I guess is that hearsay or do at some point in which I asked this question since I see Coach Uriah has put it out there. At some point, is there a point to where the coaches are able to see the rosters, or like you said, do y'all keep it integrity tight the vest? The coaches dispel if they want the I ain't gonna say the enemy, the adversaries or their opponent to know who is coming to play the up against.
pretty much yeah, every every coach that has submitted a roster, or if they had any questions about the roster, or whether the person was a free agent or this or that, they've all called me.
Mm-hmm.
They've all called me because contrary to belief, the coaches are asking questions.
Okay. Clarity. Trying to get
James
clarity.
Lewis, I've been talking to Lou for a few weeks now.
Okay.
T. Morris has called. RJ has called. Pretty much almost all the coaches that like I can go back and say that again. I'm thinking there's only one team that's probably not coming with that I know of that's probably not coming with 2 free agents, and that's Fort Benning.
Ace Vader.
And I'm the one that possesses all the rosters. I'm telling you. But it's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having the best games out there, the best hoopers. Hey, coaches have if you're a coach, you coach. Coach who you got on your roster. Don't be worried about what such and such got across the hall. They're all military members. They're military members. They hooping. Leave it at that and let it go. Let the chips fall where they may. Or other than that, if you got a problem with a certain roster, whatever, again,
Challenge
Thursday, there'll be a time and place for you to challenge it and let chips fall where they may. But it's all about basketball. I'm not going to get into all that stuff to, everybody's come down here to have a good time. They're having a good time. Let's have a great time. Let's play basketball. Let's fellowship. Let's break bread. Let's have a good time. That's what we're talking about. I mean, service members got enough to worry about day to day. This is supposed to be their release. This is supposed to be no, my job is not to hold people accountable. My job is to run a basketball tournament. That's it. It ain't about making excuses. It's not about making excuses. Now, to be honest, the coach that's doing all the complaining and stuff, man. Did you know, Trey, they playing for free?
Got it.
They
Okay.
ain't paid a dime. They ain't paid no entry fee. They got a paid berth by winning the Joe Hall.
Joe Hall, correct.
Make it make sense.
And so part of which definitely we're not trying to do this. Well, of course, we're just answering questions because again, we want to make sure the idea is to make sure the best product is put forth, and then so sometimes you have to answer the questions or go on questions. So from what understanding is he says that other coaches aren't speaking up. Is there a situation where coaches are speaking behind the scenes, and now he's taking it? Of course, because Coach Uriah this could be a outspoken individual, and he's taking upon himself to speak for what is being talked about potentially, or is this a lone situation where it's just specifically from his point because there's some underlying factors at this point? Because is there a day? Is there an open bar Thursday?
The bar is open. The bar is not an open bar, but yeah, there'll be bartenders there, and there'll be a bar there.
Okay. Technicality, but he said he did in hindsight they did pay the
Okay, so you got 2 tournaments for the price of 1.
And win it again, he's back in the. Well, no, I was about to say win it again. He's back in the same situation.
But
So
I mean,
is potentially if I think this is the possible situation that's going on, is the free agent making that much of a difference or causing this much angst in the situation?
I don't think so, but it's definitely going to be looked at because hey, I think probably more than anything, probably needs more clarity. It needs to be more clear. So we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. Most definitely, we're going to fix that. But
And it
I guess my question is, outside of that the clarity issue,
Is there anything
how is the
else?
tournament? Is the tournament okay? Other than that, what else
I
do
mean,
we need to change?
that is a good question. Right here on the air, specifically, y'all have an opportunity. Tournament director Mike Richardson's asking, the outside the clarity in the rules, is there anything else in which y'all need
Of the free
tweaks with
agents,
free
you know,
agency? Yeah, what else possibly
is there anything else we need to change? I mean, I'm open to criticism. I'm open to criticism. That is our job.
Hmm. He's on a reprisal.
I don't know who targeting who. I think I'm the one sitting here getting got all the arrows in my back.
Israel Asante.
Oh man, I'm the one. I'm here to ask. Hey, I, I hear a lot of the bad. We hear a lot of the bad, but are we doing anything good? Or is there anything right that we're doing? Um,
Hmm. Basically, standpoint is rules are. It sounds like basically Coach Rod saying rules are rules, regardless of what the situation is. In which it's like you said, clarity. I think is like you said, probably possibly is the clarity. It makes maybe a misconception of the clarity. Like Lou, when he got in, he asked a question. There was a lack in clarity, obviously, in which hopefully you yourself and Dwayne set forth and understandable. So now it seems like there's a situation in clarity, in which Coach Rye, or he's pointing out something to where maybe it might have been a loophole in any case. In which is going to be hard because, like you said, we just went through the whole conversation in reference to the state of military basketball, in which we heard a lot of conversation from the players and making it, saying more conducive. And there's a middle point, but at some point, at the sake of um, the integrity of the game and the tournament, some things you're not going to be able to broach. And it just comes down to that. But hopefully, it's all able to come together, and it continues to be a successful event. I mean, how much more can you grow on it? Sky's the limits, no, especially saying putting the right minds together. So, but hopefully, y'all get a chance to get together and basically put it together where it's fully understand traps. There is 9 from Division 1 players walking around on Fort Hood's installation that I know of myself. I don't get why he's worried about other team rosters.
Nothing need to be said there. I just I respect Coach Hunter's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's his opinion. Everybody has them. All I can do is try to do the best I can do.
Roger.
And I'm thinking we're trying to put the best tournament on that we possibly can, and we want everybody to come down and have a good time.
And hopefully
And
it will all be
that's the goal.
End state is everyone agree to disagree, and as commission tournament director Richardson stated, they look to continue to build a better product. So hopefully, of course, we all know, just like the ice comment, uh, it gets things going. But you don't have to do an ice comment. No one's saying do an ice comment or on Lackland's FSS, but that's not what we're saying. But that's put that out there. That's not what we're saying. Keep doing what you're doing, Mike, because the coaches that are complaining about free agency with the playing of the teams. Commissioner Myers, anytime you have called SA, they are answered and call first and second ring. So it's the ideal is everything is going to come together, in which it'll be back to where we're talking. Everyone's going to agree and disagree a point. So hopefully we can get it back to where saying the tournament in the season tournament, in the regular season tournament, and then of course going forth from there, and hopefully more of a situation to where you get more participation to make the events
Yes.
momentous in state, and that's what it is.
Hey, and shout out to hey, the NBA, that CBS cast, the
Yeah,
championship game.
it's,
That's
you know what I'm saying?
huge.
Yeah, and that's the
That's
thing
huge.
goes. Like you have, you know what I'm saying? I sit up and have had a dream last night. Ron said that's cat. So I had a dream last night where it's like a whole, like it basically is levels to it where everything is put together to where it does. You have the in-state tournament, the regular season in-state. You have the NBA as the league, and it all meshes. It all comes together. And then there was even an entity that created something prior to where you have the before, the during, and the after, to where it was all, you know, saying it was just living from a standpoint. So that's the end state, man. It's like you said, shout out to NBA, Military Basketball Association, the
Hey,
CBS.
hey, I'll tell you, Trey. 14 years ago, we did not think this would be possible.
Uh-huh.
That that was further from my dreams. 14 years ago, when we started this tournament, that we'd have military basketball on national TV, prime time. That's huge. That I mean, that's huge. No matter how you look at it,
Mm-hmm.
national military basketball tournament, NBA. You know, hey, military is for the service members. That's huge, man. Hats off. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You know, and for us to take basketball where it is today, where it is now, for the military, for the service members. I mean, yeah, of course we got a few. We might have a few snags here or there, some things that may jump off, but at the end of the day, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome because I'm pretty sure when CL Little and Mr. Reed founded this tournament in 2009, they did not see that 14, 15 years from now that we have military hoopers on national TV on a major network,
Mm-hmm.
prime time. You see stuff like that with the TBT, yeah, of course, but they
Yeah.
got a lot of backing behind that.
And it all meshes together, good,
I
bad, or
mean,
different.
that
It,
that's
it, it all it all comes from one thing. So and then that's what you want. Like now, now it's a new precedent has set, because now what you're looking at is the NBA is going to be on the NBA, and the players from military basketball is going to be on national television for a championship game. Now the growth is, how do we, and which Commissioner Myers and his crew said the other day, how do you now get it to where it's not just the the league? I mean, it's not just the championship game. Be going forth to where it's spots where you got matchups and you got certain teams that's going on, and you got, or when you hear about this situation going on, oh, now you know what I'm saying, the granddaddy of them all, just like the Rose Bowl in the Texas military basketball, national military basketball tournament, now splitting up in Lackland, and you know what I'm saying, and helping. It's sky's the limit, really, you know what I'm saying. So at some point, hopefully everyone starts to come together and everyone working towards that goal. In state is to move military basketball forward in any way, form, and fashion in all aspects of it. Ali, national military.
The same teams are playing on both platforms.
Correct. Yes. Always had the history of bringing in best military athletes and hardwood coaches, coach players play. NMBT helped jumpstart my military basketball career. It's all about exposure. The rivalry between me and CL was the best thing that happened in military basketball, and I told him that. And that's what it's all about. That's why I stand on the fact of, I know a lot of people, like, I try to get people to tune in, go like pages and stuff like that, like subscribe to the channels and stuff like that, to where people are kind of like, oh, it's sports. No one realizes how much sports connects life in general to different things and what you come across like that. And it always get talked about, because everything happens in sports for the most part, in anywhere, form, or fashion, which we can talk about and correlated to so many different things. No issues with the actual attorney. Rich, I don't I don't think the lacking product ever has not been top tier. That's why people take it so seriously. And this is, so what I hear, and that's one of the things of which I was about to say, is that what I'm hearing is a lot of passion in reference to what it is, and what everyone wants to be better. Everyone wants to put forth the best product they possibly can, and that's just what it is. And you want to have a competitive tournament amongst some of the best players in the military basketball across the installations. It's unfortunate you can't run like the March Madness, but again, that might be something to broach towards, like where you can do more than 16 people because you have all the backing to where someone's paying to get 30 teams, 50 teams, 64 teams for a 2-week tournament or whatever case like
We'll
that.
need a 4-day weekend for that.
Yeah. To sit up and get where you got, you know what I'm saying? Everything is
We'll
like, it's a
definitely need a
whole
4-day weekend
vibe.
for that.
It's a whole vibe going on, you know what I'm saying, in San Antonio. The in-state is played the set. So that's, you know what I'm saying, those are things to reach towards and may be possible, but it's just some things. It's steps. It has to be steps. It's levels to it. Just saying, he's trying to sit up and get retrograde trophies. So,
hey, Mike, we got folks asking from the 2009 team. Hey, can we backdate the rings? We on a tight budget.
At least a banner or two with signatures on them. So, real quick, like he's
got a great question because he was a part of building this thing. You know, when that wooden trophy that they had, you know, that trophy was like $600 because that was handcrafted.
Where's that trophy at currently, Commissioner Myers? Check it out.
Oh, you go over to Fort Hood, or what's about to be called Fort Cavazos or something.
Cavazos.
They all in that trophy case.
Yeah, I remember.
Cavazos,
It's funny going into walking into Abrams all the time. I remember always walking past because I was at Fort Hood like 18 years. So when I walk, Roger, I got you, Commissioner. Walking past that trophy, just walking through the hall, going to the gym floor, and I remember always stopping and taking a look at like the pictures and the trophies and all that type of stuff. So
they full of our trophies. Hey, they almost like the military basketball UCLA.
The NMBTU.
Yeah, they got a whole host of trophies up in there. Well, at least 4 of them? They got 4 or 5?
4 or 14. Well, 4 or 13 currently. That's not bad. That's not bad. Points. Is there anyone else even close remotely? Out of 14 years, if they got 4 of them, where the other ones? Who's the next one behind Fort Hood? Soon to be for Cavazos.
Oh, for the most? Man, Fort Hood is the only one that has multiple.
Oh, okay.
No one else has won more than one.
A great place.
But Fort Hood has won like maybe 4 out of the past 5, I think, something like that.
A lot to live up to.
4 out of the 6, something like that.
So now you hear Coach Ryan's passion. Now he's in greatness. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to keep that going. This now has been charged to him to keep that party going.
And respect for doing that. That is I have no problem with people having passion about what they're doing, because I'm very passionate about what I do.
Yes, sir.
And I love that. I love that. As long as we are, you know, best believe I've heard his complaint, and you know it's gonna be dealt with. Dang, Snow.
Dang, where's the documentary? Is the documentary coming out, Snow? Are you pushing the doc? Is that what we're gonna see next on Netflix? The Final Warrior, getting Final Warriors out there. So real quick, right before we go further into this, 2 games tonight. I don't know. He said the Wolves report. Wolves bombs. 2 games tonight. I don't know if we think those teams. Well, of course, I think LA should be there. But Milwaukee and Miami down earlier. Mike, you were speaking about Jimmy Buckets
Butler
and doing this thing. Do you think he still has more in him to even now? I think Giannis is expected to play potentially. Um, do you think Miami has an opportunity to knock off a number one in Milwaukee, or is it fool's gold?
Oh man, just like anything else, I think they have a chance, but injuries play a big role. You know, they lost Oladipo the other day,
Oladipo, they lost
um,
Hero
and,
early.
and Butler's hurt,
Hmm.
and we don't know how severe his injury is. You know, one thing about playing with those back spasms and bad lower back injuries, same thing that's going on with Giannis. We don't know how effective they're going to be.
Hmm.
You know, it takes me back to like the '80s when remember Larry, that was the beginning of the end for Larry Bird.
Larry Bird, yeah.
When the back start going out, I mean that's huge. We don't know the severity of those injuries, but right now, yes,
And
Miami's looking pretty good.
Miami ain't got no one else after
It's all about
Giannis.
matchups.
Yeah. And then in the other side of the spectrum, the Los Angeles Lakers. Coach Paris, what's good? What's going on, bro? Bucks and six, he says. Um, the Lakers. Other night, you gotta take the good with the bad. But I'm a person that is I don't. I'm a person that looks at what everyone else is not looking at. Yes, Los Angeles won. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? Let's go Lake Show. But you gave up 45 to Ja. Ja dropped 45 the other night with a injured hand, left open, knocking down 4 from 6 from 6 from 4 from 3 point. That
I
is
think you know, with anybody, you know, Darvin Ham is going to make adjustments.
okay.
They're going to make adjustments.
So
Um, they they
oh,
they they tested Ja, and Ja answered the test.
he
He
did.
he answered the challenge. They left him open. He knocked him down. I don't think they play him that way tonight or
Mm-hmm.
going forward because he clearly proved that he's capable. Um, I think I just don't see the Grizzlies pulling this off, man. I just don't. I don't see the Grizzlies pulling this off. The Lakers, as much as I hate to say it, because I'm not a Laker fan, but they will make it to the next round. I'm picking them to go to the next round. Um, it's just too many injuries on the Grizzlies side of the house and on their roster, and they just don't have the experience. You look at that Laker team, you got a lot of playoff experience over there. You got champions over there. You know, so and that's got to amount for something. It's got to count for something when it gets down to the crunch. You know, with the Dylan guy doing all kind of crazy antics and all. You know, it ain't about that. You got to get down to the nitty gritty. Well, they're not gonna be champs. I can tell you that they not coming out the West, Wayne. That ain't happening.
It
That's
just didn't
Phoenix.
happen.
Phoenix is coming out the West.
Oh, that's you think so? Really, Phoenix? I think they caught lightning in the bottle now that Kawhi and PG is gone, and Russ can't do that by himself between them.
I got Phoenix coming out the West.
Okay, okay.
KD, Book, and CP3, they looking good right now. And if they
Yes,
get 8 on board, look out.
that's where the contention comes. Aiden, the whole Aiden feel like feeling left out in the rain since KD's got there. Uh, so still in NBA for the most part. this this last bit of information that came out just over this weekend in reference to Phil Jackson's comments in reference to saying that he hasn't watched the NBA since the bubble. He felt like it was too political. I know there has been some things in which some people seen his comments potentially a little bit straddling that of a racist conversation. Others just saying that he spoke his mind on it. What do you think that it's all about? Do you think no one sees? I don't think anyone sees Phil Jackson as a racist. But did you see any disparity in his comments in saying that he didn't watch it because he think it was too political? I know uh, Jalen Rose he had some words to say. yesterday about it, and referencing it and saying that basically it needed to happen due to the Black Lives Matter movement, equality, peace, and all that type of stuff. But do you think Phil Jackson might have been a little off key with his comments?
Um, every man is entitled to his opinion.
Correct.
So after we've been around and we've heard Phil is spoken his mind, and we hear from Coach Pop, but the other side, the other version. You hear from Coach Pop all the time.
Roger.
So Phil Jackson, he's one of these guys that's one of these coaching legends who might have been. I'm thinking maybe trying to be relevant again. I don't know.
Mm,
He probably knew that those comments would spark some interest because we haven't been talking about Phil Jackson in quite a while
we
since
have
he's rode off in the sunset. So racist, I don't think so. I just think he's just trying to garner some attention for himself to get back, you know, relevancy. It's about relevancy. I think that's my personal take on it.
again another comment. I mean, situation. Magic Johnson is now part of a group that has purchased or is potentially going to purchase the Washington Commanders. So we straddle NFL, NBA in this conversation. We all know for the most part, Magic has the Midas touch. Do we see? And this no, this is your division. This is Coach Cal's division. Do we
NFC
potentially see?
East.
Yeah, NFC East. Do we potentially see something going on? Magic, you know what I'm saying, is in a group. You know what I'm saying, he's touching checks and touching things and making it happen.
And also includes KD.
Okay, he's in that group as well.
Hmm.
Oh, he's always wanted. That's his home state. Do you think there's a possibility that having Magic on this as this owner group puts the Washington Commanders in position to hoist up a Lombardi Trophy in the let's say the next six years or so?
Very much so. It could be possible. It's very possible because it's not. When you think about the Commanders, they have guys. They're just missing a couple pieces.
Wade is so disrespectful. We will talk about that in a second, Wayne. But please go ahead, Coach Richardson. I'm sorry.
I see what he's talking about. Uh, I
Oh,
think it's possible because one thing about the NFC East is they have a different champion every year.
it's open, always open.
You so next 4 or 5 years, 5 to 6 is possible. But hey, it remains to be seen. But yeah, Magic has been doing some great things on the flip side from an ownership standpoint, while on the other hand, MJ hasn't been so successful as an owner.
Mm, get out while you can. So going back to what Coach Walcott was talking about, did you catch the fight this weekend, Mr. Richardson?
Oh, I did.
The
I
body
did.
shots, the body shots, the
Tank
body
is
shots.
like that. He's like that. Matter of fact, earlier today, I collected.
So do you think is it do the legs walk? Is Tank the face of boxing now?
Um, I would say so. We still. I wanted to say Bud Bud Crawford out there, but he's been MIA for a minute. I don't know if him and
Him and Arrow.
my man from Dallas ever gonna get in the ring. But until they get in the ring, it would have to be. I would say Tank is the face of boxing right now.
As I was watching, I was like, okay, you see a couple of things. I just think Tank's his side is. They talk about how Garcia was a bigger fighter. I think that played for Tank in a sense because if you watch the body shot and keep on seeing it in slow motion, it put him in that height, put him in perfect position to sit under his gloves, be under him, and put him where he opened up. Once he opened up, he was there already, and it was good night. He tried it. He tried to fight it. He tried it. You seen it in his face. Tank seen it in his face, and he was like, I
Yeah,
just can't.
but it was like when you think back to that second round
Mm-hmm.
when Garcia came out there swarming on him
Yeah,
and got
getting
caught.
push. Yeah,
You know,
overhand
it
right.
was perfect because he got. I mean, Tank countered him, and Tank is deadly accurate with his power punches. He hit that dude flush on the nose when he dropped him the first time. And hey, hats off to Garcia. He put on a good show for a while,
Yeah, he tried. He
but
could try to rough him up. He was a little catching them, and Tank had to sit up and think. But like you said, the overhand right in the second round, he had to sit him down for a second. He had to think about it, and then finish him off in the seventh. He said it was a good business
yep,
decision not to come back up. The body shots.
it
Uh,
definitely did. Uh, it definitely did do that because he changed his whole strategy after he
oh
went down in
yeah,
the second
it
round.
backed up, and he's like, oh yeah,
He
yeah, because
stopped
he was
all that
coming back. Yeah,
aggressiveness.
yeah, he stopped aggressive. He wasn't as aggressive coming out as aggressive. So you're so right. It was just a whole different. It's a whole different fight, and then of course he finished him off. It was just kept on pushing. And I was wondering what was going to come as we was getting to the later rounds, but that I didn't see the body shot. It was a quick one, quick kick, the liver shot, and sat him down. And then as I watched it, I was like, yeah, he's not getting up. I was like, he's not going to get up. You can see it in his face. It's like he's not going to get up. He ain't had no. Even when he got to 7, he wasn't making any moves. It's like, oh yeah, this one's over.
Yep, that Bernard Hopkins body shot hit Oscar with.
He had a plan until you got hit. So moving into the as we got a couple of minutes, moving into the NFL, we came in, we spoke about. I was asking you, what do you believe the Saints to do this year? Uh, Derek Carr in the fray, Mike Thomas talking about being there. You already got Chris Olave. I don't know if y'all plan to bring back Landry or not. Um, of course, the situation with Kamara. We don't know what he's going to be. Didn't y'all get a good pickup in a running back to back up Kamara?
Yes, I want to say it's the one of the guys from. I want to say he might be from the Raiders. No, the guy from Detroit.
Oh,
They picked up the running back from Detroit from the
yes,
Lions.
yes. So in the Lions got their own situations going on. 3 players suspended for betting. Unfortunately, one being Jameson Williams. He ain't even played really in the league yet, and he suspended for 6
Yeah, you can
games.
come to New Orleans. It's legal in New Orleans.
For the bet, you ain't got to worry about GMs checking your line.
Hey,
Come to New Orleans.
yeah, you can just go right down the street to Harris.
So
Just leave the dome and go right to Harris.
not necessarily seeing or knowing, you kind of know who they're playing. You know they're playing. You've already stated New Orleans. You see New Orleans as winning the division. Of course, if they win the division, they get into the playoffs. Is New Orleans? Is it too presumptuous to say New Orleans is a Super Bowl contender right now, or you think it's got some years to play, or you think you can come out and just say who that
No,
makes it?
I really don't. They've been I think they was in the NFC Championship games. With Breeze. We
Mm-hmm.
just needed that piece. We had Super Bowl. We have a team. We just didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a quarterback. So I think Carr. We figured out a quarterback situation with Carr. We've already got the pieces. We got a top defense.
Mm-hmm.
We got a top nine. We got weapons on offense. It's just a matter of them putting it all together. Once you come out the South, you win the South, you win the division. Any given Sunday,
And I think
and
the
and
easiest
and
thing right
and
now,
help us,
I think the
especially
reason,
if we get in the dome.
uh-huh.
You have some home. If we got home field advantage, it's tough to win in the dome.
I think the easiest right now is the key was what you said is y'all probably or I think y'all division is wide open. Although Atlanta has been strapping up and loading up on top notch defensive backs and building the defense out for whom I don't know for the most part, but they've been doing their thing. Currently, Desmond Ritter is in position to be a starter there. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen over the course of the draft next week going on at the same time as the NMBT is going on. Um, but I think I would agree with you. New Orleans might be the team to beat in the South. Uh, Baker Mayfield now Tampa Bay. Uh, don't know what
That's where
Carolina
he's
do.
at.
Yeah, he's Tampa Bay now. So the expectation is he's going to probably beat out Kyle Trask, and he's going to be the starting quarterback for Tampa Bay. Carolina, they might pick up. We don't know who they're going to go after in the first round, number one pick overall. So we don't know how that's going to turn out yet.
I think they kind of jumped into rebuilding though. They're kind of rebuilding.
Oh yeah,
You know, you give up McCaffrey. I mean, you just threw in the towel. You gave up your whole offense.
And then turn around and get rid of the next person, DJ Moore, after that for the first round pick. So it remains to be seen. We'll see how that goes. First round, who they select first round overall going forth. Of course, there's been some talks on the forefront in reference to the 49ers, and reference saying that people have been contacting them in reference to trading for Trey Lance. I don't know how that's going to go. Additionally, we still have the situation going on in Baltimore as they still have a quarterback who hasn't signed the franchise tag, but they have picked up some weapons, so to speak, bringing in Aguilar, bringing in already having Andrews. They still have Bateman, and then bringing in Odell Beckham. Do you think that really makes a difference, or is that going to change the tide uh, for Jackson to be like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make some money off this?
If it keeps him there, it'll make a difference.
Okay. I think one
It
of the
will.
things is we don't have the same. I think one of the situations that you got to take about is for the most part, Baltimore has been built as a defensive stalwart, and they don't have that anymore. And I think that's really, of course, defense win ball games, as we know. That puts them on a disadvantage for the most part. When you don't have a defense, you have a quarterback, in which some of the brass or former brass came to the defense of Lamar Jackson, saying that if you're saying that because his style of play is a detriment, then you haven't paid attention because he's more dangerous outside the pocket than he is in the pocket, and all his injuries come from him sitting in the pocket. So, of course, you have that. You have the situation going on in New York with Green Bay and the Jets now coming back together, starting to broach and look and see if they can get a trade to put Aaron Rodgers in New York. Do you think that makes a difference if Aaron Rodgers is in New York with the Jets?
It might do a little something for their confidence, but I don't know if it's going to how much of a difference it's going to make. I mean, it might put it'll definitely put more butts in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it will make them some money, but I don't know how much success they're going to have on the field, especially if he ain't working with the guys right now. You know what I mean?
Correct. Good point. And then I'm glad Bishop isn't on as I look around corners to make sure he ain't popping in. The conversation about Derrick Henry potentially going to Philadelphia. Already Jalen Hurts in the fray. Biggest contract as far as guaranteed money. I mean, of course, as far as average money. And then third largest in guaranteed money. Do you think having Derrick Henry at this time would amount to yet another NFC East championship, or even a conference championship for Philadelphia if they were able to enact that trade and get Derrick Henry in the fray?
A resounding yes. If he stays healthy,
That
that's
part.
that's that's crazy.
Can you imagine that power game?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. You think you have Hurts back there, a great runner himself, a healthy Derrick Henry, and then you got Devontae Smith on the outside as well. Yeah, they got some weapons.
I'm very sure
They needed
tomorrow.
to
That's
shore up
all.
their defense though. 'Cause they lost a lot of guys on defense though.
I want to hear this dude all year long. You know what? That's all right. I want to hear him all year long because we see what happened in Oklahoma. So I would love to see that again for the most part. How he talked Oklahoma Sooners all year long until they was no longer to be talked about, and then he got quiet. So I like hearing Bishop quiet. Um, about a few more minutes. The NMBT, as everyone knows, uh, going down San Antonio
Hey, sir.
this weekend, being able to catch the top 16, some of the top 16 best 16 teams in the military basketball, those top tier teams going at it. Um, Thursday, the coaches get
When you get
together.
in,
I plan to be there. I probably won't be. Y'all should see me Friday morning because I still have to do working. Actually, I
okay.
have a whole plan. I have a whole plan to go and talk to my supervisor and be like, you know what, you should go down. We should go down to San Antonio this weekend, so that way I can leave a little earlier from work. So I'm going to try to work on him today. But I should be there. I should be there Friday because I won't leave work. Uh, After we have softball games that I have to go be over Thursday night. So after the Thursday night softball games, I'll be on the road heading that way. So I should be in there for the early morning to catch Gordon and Hood, um, or even I know there was
Okay.
conversation for the two champions in that in Herbert and CMB. So that's another one which I'm going to definitely want to catch as well as they talk. But I know that's a little afternoon, so I definitely should be there for
Two
there.
o'clock game. That's a great one.
Yes, too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they had a conversation the other day because someone called it. They took bulletin board material from the selection show because it's like people called them the YMCA the region, and they took a little angst with that because there's like two champions and we the YMCA region. We got something to say about that. So uh, that was up. So, but yeah, I should get there about that time. I'm not sure when bitch is gonna come through when he does. Of course, he lives there, so it's nothing but a little drive for him. But yes, definitely be down there and see what all the talking hoopla is about and see what to take back and bring up.
We would definitely roll out the red carpet for you guys, man.
Yes,
Looking forward to seeing you.
yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. So I greatly appreciate you coming on this morning, Mike, and being able to impart some information to us. A little veil under a peek under the veil of what's getting ready to go down in nationals. Some like you said, the swag, the banners, all the items in which y'all get. This is saying crazy. You're gonna be able to see it and see the 14th edition of it, and then many more to come. Please feel free to impart, say what you got to say out there to those that's listening. Let them know so we can get up out of here.
As always, man, appreciate you having us on, man. We look forward to you all coming down. And basically, if you ever made plans to come down to San Antonio, just FYI, it's fiesta time down here. It's fiestas going on all throughout. We had the Taste of New Orleans this past weekend, had the Oyster Bake this past weekend, and now we got the National Military Basketball Tournament happening this weekend coming up. So come on down. It's fun for the entire family. It's going to be some great military basketball. And of course, the most important thing, it's free for spectators and fans. It's free. Free.
Everyone like free 99.
Yes, sir. Free. To come see some of the best athletes that we have in military basketball hooping. It's going to be standing room only in a lot of these games. And of course, it's going to be live stream courtesy of Hero
I was
Sports.
about to say Hero Sports, Mike Barker and them in the building. Come check it out. That's insane. That's all you can basically say. Like it's a free event. You know what I'm saying? Come get entertained for free. Uh and see what it's all about, and be able to watch it streamed. It, like you said, streaming Hero Sports. So those that aren't in attendance can be able to watch it and see it. Usually, there's someone that's there that saying maybe friends that's going live. So it's always a vibe. Of course, that's myself. Who I am, Trey. It's your boy Trey. You got Mr. Coach tournament director of a national military basketball tournament, Mike Richardson. My man Bishop, he had to go to an appointment this morning. But, what I'm saying, we greatly appreciate you rocking with us this morning. Forward to seeing you tomorrow as I think I will have another guest. I actually think Coach Uriah is going to be on tomorrow. So we have a conversation. I'm very sure it was some points to be how you point out. But in state, we look forward to seeing y'all. Y'all
They
know
are the defending national champions.
defending champions 2 times. They the last 2 champions. Well, I was about to say last 2 championships that came out of San Antonio, but Joe Hall, they did win their the Martin Luther King in Fort Hood. So battle tested. So we'll see what Coach Uriah has to say tomorrow. Be sure to tune in. Y'all know what it is, 09 to 1100 hours for the most part, every Monday through Friday. And we up out of here. Peace. Enjoy y'all day. It's Monday. Enjoy it.